The peace that arrives when you accept what your heart can't fix. Buddhist wisdom. The subway doors close, and your hand reaches for a phone that holds no answer. Somewhere in the city, someone who once knew your name walks past the cafe where you used to meet. The chair is empty. The coffee grows cold. And for the first time in months, you stop pretending the silence will break. This is the moment. Not defeat, not surrender. Something older. The peace that arrives when your heart finally admits what your mind has known for weeks. Some things cannot be fixed. Some doors will not reopen. Some words will never be unsaid. In the next half hour, you will discover why this admission is not weakness, but the rarest kind of strength. You will hear the story of a woman who carried a corpse until wisdom emptied her hands. A master who replied to accusations with 2 words that changed nothing and everything. A practice that turns helplessness into a quiet kind of power. You will learn the difference between the pain that teaches and the pain you manufacture, between the first arrow that strikes and the second arrow you fire at yourself. Here is what happens when you stop fixing. The knot loosens, the chest opens. The future that never existed stops haunting you, and the city, still loud, still relentless, becomes somehow navigable again. Let's begin where most people resist, in the raw center of what cannot be undone. The common enemy has a face. It whispers in the voice of false hope. It says if you just try harder, think smarter, love fiercer, apologize better, the outcome will bend. If you sacrifice enough sleep, if you write the perfect message, if you show up one more time, if you explain yourself clearly, if you wait just a little longer, the universe will correct its error. But the universe does not make errors. It makes weather. And you are standing in rain that will not stop because you demand sunshine. Buddhism calls this tanha, craving, the thirst that mistakes desire for strategy, the heart that confuses longing with action. It is not about wanting. Wanting is human. It is about the belief that wanting can rewrite reality, that your refusal to accept can alter what has already occurred. The teaching is not cold. It is surgical. It says there are 2 kinds of suffering. The suffering that life delivers, which is inevitable, and the suffering you add by refusing to set down what you cannot carry. The first is a fact. The second is a choice. Picture a woman in ancient India. Her name is Kisagotami. She holds her dead child and will not believe he is gone. She walks from door to door, from healer to mystic, asking for medicine that can wake the boy. People turn away, some with pity, some with impatience. She does not stop. Someone tells her about the Buddha. She finds him, places the small body at his feet, begs. He looks at her with eyes that do not lie. He says, "Bring me a mustard seed from a house where no one has died. Then I will help you." She believes him. She thinks this is possible. She walks the entire village, knocks, asks, receives seeds. But in every house, the same story. A father lost, a sister gone, a husband taken, a child before her child. Grief in every room, like furniture no one mentions. By nightfall, her hands are full of seeds and empty of illusion. She returns to the Buddha. He has not moved. She places the seeds at his feet. And then, without a word, she places her son beside them. She understands. Death is not her punishment. It is the human condition. The Buddha does not celebrate. He does not explain. He simply nods. And in that nod, there is the first breath of peace she has taken in weeks. Not because the pain is gone, but because the war against reality has ended. This story is not about resignation. It is about the moment when your heart stops trying to fix what your hands cannot hold. When acceptance becomes the blade that cuts through the thickest suffering. The suffering of believing you failed because you could not change the unchangeable. In the city, this looks different, but feels the same. The relationship that ended and will not restart no matter how many late-night messages you draft and delete. The job you lost that you replay in your mind, rewriting the meeting, the email, the moment you should have said something else. The friendship that cooled and no apology will thaw it, because the distance is not about fault. It is about seasons. The parent who will never understand you the way you need to be understood. The diagnosis that will not reverse. The mistake that is now part of your story. The betrayal that happened and cannot unhappen. The love that was real and is now a memory that visits without permission. You have tried. You have tried with the kind of effort that leaves you hollow. You have analyzed, apologized, adjusted, reached out, pulled back, given space, showed up, let go, held on. You have turned yourself into a contortionist of hope, and still, the door remains closed. Buddhist wisdom does not ask you to stop caring. It asks you to stop breaking yourself against walls that do not move. There is a teaching. The second arrow. The first arrow is the event itself, the loss, the ending, the refusal, the silence. It strikes. It hurts. This is inevitable. This is life. The second arrow is what you do next. The story you tell about why this happened. The blame you assign. The identity you build around the wound. The endless loop of what you could have done differently. The belief that if you were better, smarter, more lovable, more careful, this would not have occurred. The second arrow is homemade, and it is often more lethal than the first. The first arrow says this happened. The second arrow says this happened because you are broken. The first arrow is an event. The second is a sentence. Life without parole. To accept what your heart cannot fix is to lower the bow. To refuse to shoot the second arrow. To say, yes, this hurts. Yes, I wanted it to be different. Yes, I am sad, angry, confused, or numb. And no, I will not turn this pain into a weapon against myself. This is not easy. The mind has a script, a deeply grooved script that runs automatically. When something breaks, the mind asks whose fault. When something ends, the mind demands a reason. When someone leaves, the mind creates narratives. They never loved you. You were too much. You were not enough. You always ruin things. You will always be alone. These are not truths. These are the second arrows, and they multiply suffering without adding a single gram of wisdom. Here is a practice. Simple, difficult, effective. When the second arrow appears, name it, out loud or in writing. Say, this is a story. This is not a fact. This is my mind trying to make sense of pain by creating a villain. And sometimes the villain it chooses is me. Then return to the first arrow. The simple truth. They left. The job ended. The body is sick. The trust was broken. The dream did not manifest. This is what happened. Not because you deserved it. Not because the universe hates you. Not because you are fundamentally flawed. But because this is the texture of a human life. Things begin. Things end. People come. People go. Bodies age. Minds change. Circumstances shift. Impermanence is not a punishment. It is the condition. And once you stop fighting the condition, you stop bleeding energy into battles that cannot be won. There is another layer. Beneath the need to fix is often the need to control. And beneath the need to control is fear. Fear that if this cannot be fixed, you are not safe. Fear that if you cannot change this outcome, you cannot change any outcome. Fear that powerlessness in one area of life will spread like a stain until you are drowning in a world you cannot navigate. Buddhism does not deny this fear. It sits with it. It turns toward it. It asks the fear what it needs. And often, the fear needs to hear a truth it has been avoiding. You are never in control. Not really. Not of other people's hearts. Not of the economy. Not of cells dividing in ways you cannot see. Not of the weather, the traffic, the email that never comes, the apology you will never receive. You have influence. You have choice. You have the ability to plant seeds and tend soil. But the harvest, the timing, the outcome, these are not yours to command. And pretending otherwise is exhausting. It is the exhaustion that looks like depression, the kind that makes you feel like you are failing at life when really you are failing at being a god, which is appropriate because you are not a god. You are a person with limits, with a sphere of control so much smaller than your sphere of concern. And the peace that arrives when you accept what your heart cannot fix is also the peace of accepting the size of your actual power, which is not small, but it is specific. You can control your breath. You can control whether you speak with a kindness or cruelty in the next 10 seconds. You can control whether you drink water, take a walk, ask for help, set a boundary, or write 3 honest sentences. You can control your effort, your intention, your willingness to show up. You cannot control the response. You cannot control the result. You cannot control whether someone sees you, hears you, forgives you, or comes back. There is a Zen story. A master is accused of fathering a child. The accusation is false. The village turns against him. People spit. They whisper. They demand he take responsibility. He says only, "Oh, really?" He takes the child. Raises the infant with the same care he gives his meditation. Years pass. The truth surfaces. The real father is revealed. The mother comes to reclaim the child. The master hands the baby back. He says only, "Oh, really?" This story confuses people. They want him to defend himself, to rage, to demand apology, to at least show some emotion. But the master has understood something most people spend a lifetime resisting. The opinions of others, their judgments, their accusations, their approval or rejection, these are not in his hands. What is in his hands is his response, his clarity, his refusal to let their confusion become his suffering. Oh, really? 2 words, not indifference, not coldness, but a deep, radical acceptance of what he cannot fix. He cannot fix their perception. He cannot fix their need for a villain. He cannot fix the timing of truth. So he does not try. He simply continues, caring for what is in front of him, living with integrity, releasing outcomes. This is not passive. This is mastery. The mastery of knowing where your power ends and where grace must begin. Grace is not a religious word here. Grace is the unearned, uncontrolled, mysterious force that sometimes makes flowers bloom in cracked concrete, that sometimes brings the apology you stopped expecting, that sometimes heals what you thought was permanent. But grace does not respond to demands. It responds to openness. And you cannot be open while your fists are clenched around what you are trying to force into existence. Let's bring this into the granular. The everyday, the 3 a.m. thoughts, the subway ride where you see their face in a stranger, the song that plays and breaks you open again, the friends who are tired of hearing about it, the part of you that is tired of feeling it. What does acceptance look like when it is not a concept but a practice? When it is not an idea you understand but a muscle you must train every single day? It looks like this. Morning arrives. The first thought is the wound, the person who is not there, the job you do not have, the body that hurts, the future that collapsed. The mind wants to spiral. The second arrow is loading. You stop it, not with violence, with breath. Inhale, 4 counts, hold, 4 counts, Exhale, 6 counts. Hold, 2 counts. Repeat, 3 times. This is not distraction. This is rewiring. The breath tells the nervous system there is no tiger. The breath says you are here. You are alive. This moment right now is survivable. Then the body, feet on the floor, weight into the earth. A slow scan from the crown of the head to the soles of the feet. Where is the tightness? The jaw, the shoulders, the stomach. You do not fix it. You notice it. You say inwardly, I see you. I am here with you. This is what is happening now. Already something has shifted. You have not fixed the external problem. The person is still gone. The situation is still broken. But you have stopped the internal war. You have stopped demanding that this moment be different. You have made space for what is. This is the foundation. From here, you can choose. Not from panic, not from the fantasy that if you just think about it harder, the answer will appear, but from clarity. What is mine to do today? Not to fix everything, not to control the outcome, but to take one step that aligns with who I want to be in the middle of what I cannot change. Maybe it is sending a difficult message, not because it will change their mind, but because your integrity asks you to say what is true. Maybe it is deleting their number, not because you do not care, but because the temptation to reach out is keeping you in a loop that harms you. Maybe it is going to therapy, joining a group, starting a practice, reading something that rewires your understanding. Maybe it is simply brushing your teeth, making your bed, drinking water, and calling that enough for today. Acceptance is not one grand gesture. It is 1,000 small ones. It is the daily choice to stop fighting what is and start tending to what remains. Your health, your friendships, your creativity, your capacity for joy that still exists even when everything feels gray. There is a phrase in the tradition, beginner's mind. It means approaching each moment as if it is the first time, as if you do not already know how the story ends, as if this breath, this step, this conversation might hold something new. Beginner's mind is the antidote to the bitterness that comes from believing you know exactly how your life will unfold based on what has already broken. You do not know. You think you know. You have evidence. The past has patterns. But the future is not a photocopy of the past. It is unwritten, and the more you cling to the script of what should have been, the less available you are for what might still become. Here is another practice, the practice of the open hand. Sit quietly. Place your hands on your lap, palms down, fingers curled into fists. Feel the tension, the holding, the effort. Now slowly open your hands. Palms up, fingers relaxed. Notice the release, the softness, the vulnerability. This is the gesture of acceptance, not giving up, opening up. You can do this with your actual hands. You can also do this with your heart. When the grip tightens around the need to fix, to control, to make it different, you pause. You breathe. You imagine opening your hands and letting it rest there without grasping. It does not mean you do not care. It means you care enough not to strangle it. Let's talk about the relational, because this is where the heart breaks most often. The person who does not love you back, the parent who cannot see you, the friend who drifted, the partner who left, the child who is struggling and you cannot save them from their own path. You cannot fix another person. You cannot fix them into loving you. You cannot fix them into understanding you. You cannot fix them into being ready, available, healed, or whole. You cannot fix their trauma, their fear, their defenses, or their timing. And the sooner you accept this, the sooner you stop breaking yourself against the wall of their no. Their no is not about your worth. Their unavailability is not a verdict on your value. Their inability to meet you is not proof that you are too much or not enough. It is simply information. Information about where they are, what they can offer, what this connection can hold right now. And acceptance asks, can you love them and let them be who they are? Can you grieve what you hoped for and release them from the role you needed them to play? Can you see them clearly without the filter of your longing and decide from that clarity whether this is a relationship that nourishes you or one that slowly drains you? Sometimes acceptance means staying and lowering your expectations to something realistic. Sometimes it means leaving and honoring that you need something they cannot give. Both are valid. Both require courage. The key is that neither is about fixing them. Both are about aligning yourself with reality. There is a meditation, metta, loving kindness. It is often misunderstood as forced positivity. It is not. It is training the heart to hold complexity, to wish well for yourself and others without requiring a specific outcome. You can practice it like this. Sit, breathe. Place one hand on your heart. Say silently or loud, may I be safe, may I be healthy, may I be at peace, may I live with ease. Feel the words. Do not perform them. Let them land. Then bring to mind the person you cannot fix, the one whose absence or presence causes pain. See their face. Say, may you be safe, may you be healthy, may you be at peace, may you live with ease. This is not approval of harm they may have caused. This is releasing them from the prison of your resentment. Because resentment does not punish them, it poisons you. If this feels impossible, start smaller. May you find what you need. May you be free. You are not absolving. You are unbinding. You are saying, I release you from the job of being different so I can be free. Now the hard part, forgiving yourself for not being able to fix it, for not seeing it sooner, for trying too hard or not trying enough, for being human in a situation that required more than any human can give. Place both hands on your heart. Say, I forgive myself for not knowing what I could not have known. I forgive myself for doing my best, even when my best was not enough to change the outcome. I forgive myself for being someone who loves, hopes, and hurts. I am learning. I am doing what I can. I am enough. Tears may come. Let them. Tears are not failure. Tears are the body releasing what words cannot hold. Cry until you are empty. Then breathe. Then drink water. Then continue. The city does not stop for your grief. The subway still runs. The emails still arrive. The world still demands you show up. And this is both cruel and useful. Because the continuation of life is also the proof that you can continue. That you are more than this one wound. That your identity is larger than this one failure to fix. There is a story from the Taoist tradition. A farmer's horse runs away. The neighbors say, such bad luck. The farmer says, maybe. The horse returns with wild horses. The neighbors say, such good luck. The farmer says, maybe. His son breaks his leg taming one of the wild horses. The neighbors say, such bad luck. The farmer says, maybe. The army comes to conscript young men, but leaves the son because of his broken leg. The neighbors say, such good luck. The farmer says, maybe. This is not indifference. This is wisdom. The wisdom of not knowing how the story ends. The wisdom of holding lightly to your interpretations of good and bad, success and failure, blessing and curse. Because you do not have the full picture. You are in the middle of the story. And the middle is always confusing. What you call the worst thing that ever happened to you might be the thing that redirects you towards something you could not have imagined. What you call failure might be protection from a path that would have harmed you. What you call loss might be the clearing that allows something new to grow. This is not toxic positivity. This is not pretending pain does not hurt. This is simply refusing to finalize the narrative while you are still breathing. While there is still time for plot twists you cannot predict, acceptance creates space for the unknown, for the possibility that you do not have to fix this because life might be composting it into something else, into wisdom, into empathy, into a strength you did not have before, into a story you will one day tell someone else who is standing where you are standing now, convinced that this is the end. It is not the end. It is a chapter, a painful, unwanted, brutally honest chapter. But chapters close. And when they do, you are not the same person who started reading. Let's go deeper. Into the body. Because the heart that cannot fix is also held in a body that feels the weight of it. The chest that tightens, the stomach that knots, the throat that closes, the shoulders that carry what the mind refuses to release. Acceptance is not just mental, it is somatic. It is teaching the body that it is safe to let go. And the body does not believe words. It believes sensation, repetition, and gentle persistence. Try this. Lie down. Close your eyes. Scan your body for where the pain of unfixability lives. For most people, it is the chest, the heart space, the place that aches with longing. Place your hand there. Feel the warmth of your palm. Breathe into that space. Imagine the breath is soft light, not fixing, not erasing, just illuminating, just saying, I am here with you. As you breathe, say inwardly, I cannot fix this. And that is okay. I cannot control this. And I am still safe. I cannot make this different. And I am still whole. Let the body hear it. Let the body believe it. Not in one session, but over time. The body learns slowly. Be patient with it. Another somatic practice, movement. When the mind loops, the body needs to discharge. Walk, not with a destination, just walk. Feel the rhythm of your feet. Left, right, left, right. Let the motion become a meditation. Let the forward momentum remind you that you are still moving even when everything else feels stuck. Or shake, literally. Stand and shake your hands, your arms, your whole body. Animals do this after trauma. They shake off the charge. You can too. It looks ridiculous. It works. Shake for 2 minutes, then stop. Breathe. Notice the shift, or sound. Hum, tone, sing. Let the vibration move through your chest. Sound is ancient medicine. It loosens what stillness hardens. You do not need to be good at it. You just need to let it move. The body holds what the mind resists. And when you give the body ways to release, the mind follows. Acceptance becomes easier when the nervous system is not in constant alarm. When the body remembers it has survived before. When the body knows it can hold discomfort without collapsing. Now, the spiritual dimension. Because at the core of this teaching is a question that haunts every human who has tried to fix what breaks. If I cannot control this, if my love is not enough, if my effort does not matter, then what is the point? What is my role? What am I here to do? Buddhism answers with the Eightfold Path: right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. Notice the word right. It does not mean moralistic. It means aligned, tuned, calibrated to reduce suffering and increase clarity. Your role is not to fix the world. Your role is to align yourself, to live with integrity even when no one is watching, to speak truth even when it is not rewarded, to act with kindness even when it is not returned, to work in ways that do not harm, to make effort that is sustainable, not self-destructive, to pay attention to what is actually happening, not what you wish was happening, to focus your mind on what serves, not what spirals. This is not small. This is everything, because you cannot control whether someone loves you back, but you can control whether you love with honesty. You cannot control whether you get the job, but you can control whether you prepare with diligence. You cannot control whether your body heals, but you can control whether you treat it with respect. The peace that arrives when you accept what your heart cannot fix is the peace of finally understanding your assignment. Your assignment is not to be God. It is to be human. Beautifully, imperfectly, courageously human. And part of being human is knowing when to act and when to release. Knowing when to fight and when to bow. Knowing when to speak and when to be silent. This discernment is not weakness. It is mastery. There is a concept, Wu Wei, effortless action. It does not mean doing nothing. It means acting in alignment with the way things are, not the way you wish they were. It means not forcing, not manipulating, not exhausting yourself swimming against a current that will not change direction. Wu Wei is the tree that bends in the storm instead of breaking. It is the water that finds the path of least resistance and eventually carves canyons. It is the gardener who plants seeds and then trusts the seasons, knowing that no amount of worry will make the flower bloom faster. You practice Wu Wei when you stop sending the message you have drafted 20 times. When you stop rehearsing the conversation that will never happen. When you stop waiting for the closure that is not coming. When you redirect your energy toward what is alive, growing, possible, instead of what is dead, static, and sealed. This is not giving up. This is strategic surrender. And there is a profound difference. Giving up is collapse. Surrender is choice. Giving up says nothing matters. Surrender says this specific battle is not mine to win, and I will invest my life force elsewhere. Where? In your healing, in your creativity, in your community, in the people who do show up, in the work that does fulfill you, in the body that still breathes, in the morning that still arrives, in the possibility that your life is not defined by the one thing you could not fix, but by the 1,000 things you can still tend. Let's address the resistance. Because if this was easy, everyone would do it. But acceptance is hard. It feels like betrayal. Like you are abandoning the person, the dream, the hope. Like you are admitting defeat. Like you are weak. You are not weak. You are learning to discern between the pain that refines you and the pain that destroys you. Between the grief that is necessary and the suffering that is optional. Between the love that evolves and the attachment that strangles. Resistance will say, if you accept this, you are saying it is okay. You are not. You are saying it is real. There is a difference. Acceptance is not approval. Acceptance is acknowledgement. It is the difference between saying, I like this, and saying, this is happening. You do not have to like it. You do not have to celebrate it. You do not have to pretend it does not hurt. You simply have to stop pretending it is not true. And in that radical honesty, there is relief. The relief of finally setting down the weight of a reality you have been denying. Another resistance. If I accept this, I am giving them permission to hurt me. You are not. You are giving yourself permission to stop re-injuring yourself. Acceptance does not mean staying in harm. It means seeing harm clearly and making wise choices from that clarity. Sometimes that choice is to leave. Sometimes it is to stay with boundaries. But it is always rooted in truth, not fantasy. One more. If I accept this, it means I will never have what I want. This is the fear beneath the fear. That acceptance is a door closing forever. But what if it is a door opening? What if releasing what you cannot have creates space for what you cannot yet imagine? What if your desperate grip on one possibility is blocking 10 others? You do not know. You cannot know. but you can trust that openness invites more than clinging, that flexibility allows more than rigidity, that the heart that can release can also receive. Here is a ritual, a small ceremony of release. Take a piece of paper. Write what you cannot fix. Be specific. I cannot make them love me. I cannot undo this mistake. I cannot heal this illness. I cannot bring them back. Write it. Feel it. Let the words be true. Then, if it feels right, burn the paper. Watch it turn to ash, or tear it into small pieces and scatter it in water, or bury it in soil. Choose the element that speaks to you. Fire for transformation, water for flow, earth for composting. As you release the paper, say, I give this back to the universe. I cannot carry it anymore. I trust that letting go is not losing, but making space for what wants to come. This is not magic. This is ritual. And ritual works because it gives the subconscious a script, a way to mark transition, a way to say, this chapter is over. I am ready for the next. Then, and this is crucial, you must fill the space, because nature abhors a vacuum. If you release the obsession with fixing and do not replace it with something, it will return. So replace it with a practice, with a project, with a community, with a commitment to your own becoming. Take the energy you were spending on the impossible and redirect it toward the possible. Learn something new. Help someone else. Create something beautiful. Move your body. Feed your mind. Nourish your spirit. Build a life that is so full of meaning that the thing you could not fix becomes smaller in the frame. Not because it does not matter, but because other things matter too. And you are more than one loss. You are a constellation of experiences, relationships, skills, dreams, and days. And when you widen the lens, you see that yes, this part is broken. But look at all these other parts that are whole, that are growing, that are waiting for your attention. Let's talk about time, because acceptance is not instant. It is not a light switch. It is a spiral. You will accept it today and forget tomorrow. You will make peace in the morning and rage by evening. You will think you are done, and then a song will play, a scent will trigger, a date on the calendar will arrive, and you will be back at the beginning. This is normal. This is human. Healing is not linear. Acceptance is not a destination. It is a practice you return to again and again. And each time you return, it gets a little easier. The spiral tightens. The center becomes clearer. The peace lasts a little longer. Be patient with yourself. You are unlearning years of conditioning that told you love means fixing, that care means control, that your value is measured by your ability to change outcomes. You are learning a new language, the language of presence without power, of love without possession, of effort without attachment to results. This language takes time. Give yourself that time. Celebrate the small victories. I did not check their social media today. I did not send the message. I let the thought pass without spiraling. I chose to do something kind for myself instead of obsessing. These are wins. These are the seeds of a new way of being. And one day, not because you forced it, but because you tended it, you will notice. The obsession has quieted. The wound has scarred. The scar is still there, still tender, but it no longer runs your life. You can think about it without drowning. You can talk about it without breaking. You can even feel gratitude for what it taught you, even as you wish it had been different. That is the peace, not the peace of getting what you wanted, but the peace of being okay without it. The peace of knowing you survived. The peace of trusting that your life is still unfolding, still worth living, still full of moments that will take your breath away for reasons you cannot predict. Now, the paradox. The beautiful, frustrating paradox at the heart of this teaching. Sometimes, when you stop trying to fix it, it fixes itself. Not because you manipulated the outcome, but because you're desperate. Energy was part of the problem. Your clinging was creating resistance. Your need was suffocating the possibility. And when you release, when you genuinely let go, space opens. The other person feels it. The situation shifts. The opportunity appears. Not always, not guaranteed, but sometimes. And you cannot do it for that reason. You cannot fake release to get control. That is just control in disguise. But if you release for real, because you have accepted that you cannot fix it, because you have chosen your peace over your agenda, then yes, sometimes the universe surprises you. Sometimes the door you thought was locked swings open. Sometimes the person comes back. Sometimes the opportunity reappears. Sometimes healing happens. And if it does, you receive it with gratitude and humility, not as proof that you were right to hold on, but as grace, as mystery, as the gift of a second chance you did not earn and cannot explain. And if it does not, you are still okay, because you have already made peace. You have already built a life that does not depend on that one thing. You have already learned to breathe, to laugh, to hope, to live without it. This is freedom, real freedom. Not the freedom to control everything, but the freedom from needing to. The freedom to participate fully in your life without the constant background hum of this should be different. Let's close with a final image. A monk sits by a river. He watches the water. It moves without effort. It meets rocks and flows around them. It meets cliffs and falls without complaint. It meets bends and follows without resistance. The water does not fight the river. The water is the river. You are not separate from your life. You are your life. And your life includes what you can fix and what you cannot. Includes what you chose and what chose you. Includes the blessings and the losses. Includes the clarity and the confusion. When you stop fighting the river, when you stop demanding it flow uphill or backwards or faster or slower, when you simply enter the current and move with it, you discover something. The river was holding you all along. You were never drowning. You were learning to float. The peace that arrives when you accept what your heart cannot fix is the peace of finally trusting the river, of finally trusting yourself to navigate it, of finally trusting that even if you cannot fix this, you can live through it. You can learn from it. You can become someone wiser, kinder, deeper because of it. This is not the peace of a resolved life. It is the peace of a surrendered heart. And a surrendered heart is not a defeated heart. It is a heart that has stopped exhausting itself with impossible tasks and has redirected its energy toward the possible, the present, the path that is actually in front of it. You cannot fix everything, but you can fix your attention. You can fix your breath. You can fix your next choice. And from that small center of agency, from that humble circle of control, you can build a life that holds meaning even in the middle of what you cannot change. The city still roars. The subway still closes its doors. The empty chair still sits in the cafe. But you are different. You are softer and stronger. You are sadder and wiser. You are less certain and more free. You have learned the hardest lesson, that love does not always get to keep what it cherishes. That effort does not always earn the outcome it desires, that the heart breaks and somehow continues beating, and that the peace you were searching for was never in fixing what is broken. It was in accepting that brokenness is part of the design. So share this teaching with someone who is still fighting what cannot be won. Subscribe to continue learning how to live with grace in a world that will not always bend. And when you close this, when you return to your day, remember, you are not failing because you cannot fix it. You are succeeding because you are still here, still breathing, still becoming, still willing to let the river carry you toward a shore you cannot yet see. That is enough. You are enough. And the peace is already here, waiting for you to stop fighting long enough to feel it.